Hello, Dr. Coker here, and I'm going to explain the complete story of Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood in 10 minutes. Let's get started. Let me provide a little context before we get started. During A Realm Reborn, we saw the Eorzean Alliance face off against the Garlean Empire, kicking them out of Eorzean territories. But Ishgard would not join the alliance, and Garlemald still occupied Ala Mhigo and Doma in the Far East. During Heavensward, we went to Ishgard and worked to establish peace between Ishgard and the dragons. This succeeds and ends with Ishgard joining the Eorzean Alliance. In the aftermath, a wild Ala Mhigan rebel calling himself the Griffin stirred up trouble in Eorzea, which culminated in an unintended conflict between Eorzea and Garlemald at Baelsar's Wall. As the Griffin died, he summoned the primal Shinryu. In desperation, the Scions worked with Nero Tolskeva to take control of the Omega weapon in response. Stormblood is the story of how this series of events leads you to the kingdoms of Ala Mhigo and Doma, both under Garlean occupation. At the end of the post-Heavensward patches, the Omega weapon attacked the primal Shinryu and crash-landed on the other side of Baelsar's Wall in Garlean-occupied Ala Mhigo. Yda reveals that she is actually her younger sister Lyse, and the real Yda died 6 years ago fighting for Ala Mhigo. She reveres her older sister, and she wants more than anything to liberate Ala Mhigo. Gosetsu and Yugiri depart for Doma in the Far East. The Scions meet and decide to help liberate Ala Mhigo from the Garlean Empire. The Eorzean Alliance wishes to help as well, but they need assurance first that the resistance forces in Ala Mhigo are strong. You and Lyse journey to Ala Mhigo to rally support from local resistance forces. In a resistance town called Rauger's Reach, you meet their leader Conrad, who tells you it's going to be difficult to garner support from the locals after the Griffin effectively broke their trust and morale. Of course, you persist, and you begin by helping his two sidekicks, Minago and Mefred. With Minago, you join forces with Pippin and Roban to ambush a Garlean patrol in the area, defeating Grinawat again and destroying some Magitech armor. This small victory boosts resistance morale as word of the event spreads. With Mefred, you travel to Lyse's hometown to recruit forces. You find the people there have abandoned hope, and some of the youth even assist Garlemald with their cruel work. But after you rescue one of their own, they feel ashamed, then emboldened to join the resistance. As word of your efforts gets to Zenos, he slays one of his own men and replaces him with Fordola. Fordola is an Ala Mhigan filled with hatred for her own countrymen, serving Garlemald with intense devotion and zeal. Then they assault Rauger's Reach, devastating resistance forces, killing Mefred, and Zenos himself defeats you, the Warrior of Light, in one-on-one combat. The Scions meet with Roban and Conrad, who feels like it may be time to give up. You and the heroes will not yield, however, and you decide to journey to Doma to work on the other Garlean front in the Far East. You sail to the city of Kugani, just outside Doma. There you are greeted by a wealthy businessman named Hancock, who becomes your ally and lets the Scions use the Ruby Bazaar as a temporary headquarters. He tells you that to reach Doma, you will have to cross the contested Ruby Sea, so this and locating Gosetsu and Yugiri become your next mission. Asking around, a strange talking fish named Gyoto says he can help, but it turns out to be a trap and you end up surrounded by Garleans stationed in Kugani. With the help of a Kojin named Saraban, you escape back to the Ruby Bazaar. Saraban agrees to help the Scions cross the Ruby Sea in exchange for business agreements with Hancock. He also reveals that Gosetsu is being held by the city guard, so Hancock offers to pay for his release. As you arrive, you find that Gosetsu has just earned his own freedom by winning 10 matches in a row in a bet with the guards. Gosetsu says that Yugiri has left in pursuit of Lord Hien, the lost king of Doma. Together you travel to the Ruby Sea and meet the Confederacy, a group of toll collectors who monitor the sea. You witness a Garlean vessel crossing, refusing to pay the toll, and mocking the Confederacy as they're hopeless to defend themselves. The Confederacy agrees to let the Scions cross for free. Then at Asari village, you witness the cruel viceroy ruling this region, Yatsuyu, who delights in tormenting Domans. Gosetsu can't contain his rage, so he intervenes, while you and the others seek the Confederacy's camp for aid. Their leader, Rasho, is hesitant to join the rebellion, but says they'll do it if the Scions can find a way to drive the Garleans out of Asari. You learn that the Blue Kojin are friendly merchants by and large, while the Red Kojin serve Garlemald and have forces in Asari. The Scions journey to the Blue Kojin's underwater city, and Sarabon grants them the ability to breathe underwater. You end up recovering a lost treasure for their chief. The chief then gives you a ceremonial dagger which opens a vault believed to be sacred by the Red Kojin. You travel to the vault, and sure enough, once it's opened, the island is swarmed with Red Kojin, who've abandoned their posts to protect the vault. As the Confederates witness Isari liberated, they don masks of war and join the rebellion. Next, you enter Yanxia in search of yugiri. In the village of Namai, you find people utterly bereft of hope. You find yugiri at the secret resistance headquarters nearby, then together witness a scene where Garleans come to Namai to draft villagers into their army. You manage to follow the soldiers and rescue the villagers, but they are reluctant to leave. After learning that Zenos has come to Doma, yugiri devises a plan to ambush him, but once again he defeats you. The local villagers are inspired by your heroism, however, but more on this later. Back at the secret headquarters, yugiri says Lord Hien lives and she has spoken with him, so you travel to Azim Steppe next to find him. The Azim Steppe is home to warrior tribes who choose their leader annually by a ritual contest. You soon find Hien, who is ready to fight, and he reveals his plan to participate in the contest, then lead the warrior tribes to attack and reclaim Doma Castle. He chooses to align with the Mole tribe, as they are known to be the weakest, and the others will be impressed if he manages to lead them to victory. Soon your deeds in the area earn the attention of the powerful Oranir tribe, who force you to submit to their leader Magnai, who thinks himself a god. Hien agrees to play along, merely to learn their ways. Magnai has you scope out the Dotharal tribe to observe their power. When this is done, Magnai agrees to allow you to participate in the contest alongside the Mole tribe. You do, and you win, and Lord Hien officially becomes chieftain of the Azim Steppe. Then the Garleans attack, led by Grinawat. The Scions and the tribes triumph, and again, Grinawat flees in anger. Back at the Resistance headquarters, the Scions recount how many allies they now have to fight for Doma. The Confederacy, the Blue Kojin, the local villagers now willing to fight, and the warrior tribes of the steppe. Hien lays out a radical strategy to flood Doma Castle, then attack on multiple fronts. It's executed the following morning, then you and Hien fight through the castle, defeating Grinawat once and for all. Hien advances, and in the palace he confronts Yotsuyu, but the roof collapses. It crushes both her and Gosetsu, who are then swept down the river among the rubble. But the day is won, and Hien gives a rousing speech to his people about rebuilding their homeland. Full of hope, the Scions return to the Ala Mhigan front. Meanwhile, Zenos takes Kryl prisoner and makes Fordola a commander. You reconvene with Conrad and Roban, who are inspired by the victories in Doma, and they say they've had time to repair and rebuild their ranks. With Garlemald distracted and spread thin, everyone agrees it's time to strike now, beginning with reclaiming a strategic bridge nearby. You succeed, and Fordola is forced to flee. Then you get familiar with the Ananta Beast tribes and find that Fordola has slain one of their daughters, and in response they summoned a primal. You destroy this primal, earning the love of some Ananta and the hatred of others. Fordola reports her failure to Zenos, but after seeing the rage in her heart, he decides to spare her. He subjects her to a mysterious treatment that involves Kryl somehow. Next, you push eastward to Alagiri, and with Roban, you attack an occupied tower located near a massive Garlean cannon. But Fordola doesn't hesitate to fire the cannon, destroying the tower and killing her own soldiers just to stop the Eorzeans. Conrad dies, and with his last breath, he asks Lyse to lead in his place. Estinian intervenes and sabotages the cannon, but no one knows he did it. You and the Scions head to the cannon and face Fordola, finding that she now has incredible abilities, but she still flees. Then you and Thancred sneak into Ala Mhigo Castle and rescue Kryl. Again, you face Fordola, but this time you have Moonbrida's etheric siphon, which nullifies her powers so she's easily defeated. With Kryl rescued, you learn that the Garleans were transferring her echo power to other subjects. The Scions advance their attack, and as they're breaching the castle gate, Lord Hien arrives in glorious fashion with air support. You advance through the palace and confront Zenos himself. On the rooftop garden, he releases Shinryu, the missing primal that clashed with Omega, and you face him in a spectacular battle. Once he's defeated, Zenos relishes the moment, then slashes his own neck. Victory achieved, the people gather and sing the Ala Mhigan anthem atop their palace. Meanwhile, on a deserted island, Gosetsu gathers fish while Yotsuyu sleeps nearby. And that concludes the story of Stormblood. I hope you've enjoyed this recap. Stick around on this channel. I'll be releasing the next video in this series, the story of the post-Stormblood patches. Until next time,